If everybody's ready, thanks for giving us a little latitude. You guys are right in the back? Okay, good. So thanks for giving us some latitude. The board, we do not have to come into session because we already convened in session earlier because we had an executive session prior to this meeting. So we are already in session. And first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. I'll say in advance, congratulations to all the tenured teachers as well. We are sorry that we were delayed earlier for the reception. And thank you for all the time you put in for us, for all the time you put in for all of our kids as well. That will be part of this meeting coming up, but I did want to only say something right from the get-go. So we've already done roll call, so we're on item A2, approval of minutes from the special board meeting of March 15th, 2016, April 5th, 2016, and April 19th, 2016. I need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Any comments, questions? Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Posh.
Yes.
Mr. Register.
Yes.
Mr. Silverman.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Mr. Zucker.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to item B1, awards and recognitions. Superintendent?
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. And what a nice welcome has been with our own, with our students. Did they perform musical? Did they perform tonight?
Yes, they
and
did.
I missed them.
Yes,
oh my
that's right.
gosh. So I have to have the broken string duos. I have to send them a thank you card. Okay, so let me move. So let's give them a round of applause so I can have that on tape. And I apologize again to the Broken Strings duo for missing this opportunity. So now I would like to recognize incredible athletes and coaches who have been working hard ahead of this year's Special Olympics, which will be held on Saturday, May 7th. This is the second year that the Olympians from the district will participate. Our boys team, led by, did I pronounce that correctly? Led by Coach Dan Russell, will compete at the Italian American Club in Woodcliff. And our track and field team, led by Coach Casey Graham, will compete at Bedford High School. Coach Russell is an interventionist specialist at Garrity, and Coach Graham is an exercise science teacher at Heights High. They have devoted countless hours to this event. I also would like to acknowledge the tremendous support of our parent mentor, Amy Kuryoung, and friends with the Reaching Heights Exceptional Children Advocacy Group. Ms. Kuryoung would now like to say a few words. Where is she? If you come forward, thank you. Say a few words on behalf of Reaching Heights.
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. Hi, everybody. Happy to be with you guys tonight. My name is Amy Kuryoung. I'm the parent mentor for Reaching Heights. I help families who have children with special needs, and our group, the Exceptional Children's Advocacy Group, is a project of Reaching Heights, and we do work together, parents, educators, community members, who we sort of support each other, and the children that we love and care for who have special needs. And ECAG, the acronym for that long title, is very proud to support the district in this event. It's very exciting to celebrate these athletes and coaches as they've been working so hard. Our team really does represent a group of hardworking folks. They've been working all year to prepare for the Special Olympics, and we all have a feeling when we hear that, don't we? Special Olympics is a good has a good feeling to it when we talk about it. We've been working through the bocce and track and field teams. As Dr. Dixon mentioned, this is our district's second year investing in the Special Olympics, and we're really excited and thrilled to see how the excitement and participation has increased even in one short year. As the parent mentor for Reaching Heights, I get the chance, I'm lucky to get the chance to work with so many of our families. And I get to know firsthand just how wonderful our students are and how special they are and exceptional that they are. And so I think it's very meaningful to invest in this type of programming. And it really does highlight the talents of our exceptional children. We can be proud to say that we as a district are participating in this storied and very respected event. And we can't wait to watch this program grow. We think it will grow in the years to come. And I do encourage you all, we could use the cheering section. We'd love to see you out supporting our students this Saturday. There are 2 opportunities in 2 different parts of the city, as Dr. Dixon mentioned. We'd love to see you come and support our amazing athletes. And without further ado, I think Dr. Dixon has some introductions to make.
Okay, so are the, which the route that should come? Come here? Okay, our first student is Jameer Collins. Where's Jameer? He's not here? Okay, all right. Grayson Boyles. Is Grayson here? Right here. Daniel Hunter. Daniel not here. Jason Mosley. Jason! Come on.
Come up, you want to stay up here with us, okay, bud?
Yep.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay. Naomi Grace Nagalo. Naomi Grace, pretty name. And Micah Williams. Micah. So I would like to invite our board president, Cal, if you would come up and let's take a group photo.
We have a fancy
And you
banner.
have a fancy banner?
Yep.
Gotcha.
I also have my student coaches came up as well.
Do you want us to hold an end?
Student coaches, and I have their names? I don't have their names. Let me get their names.
Sydney Calhoun
Sydney Calhoun,
and Donisha
Lights,
Lights.
and Donisha Lice. Raise your hand. Gotcha. Okay, so they have a banner.
Where do you want us to stand?
Where do you want us to stand?
Okay, we're gonna head over there. You want them to stand behind?
And you know what, I just think just for a second, if, Dr. Johnson, you're the teacher, if you kind of just let everyone know this is why we decided that this was such a great event to do when you brought it to our attention
Oh,
last
sure.
year.
Well,
Just brief, yeah.
This is just a fantastic event, and I really have to recognize Dan, Russell, Casey Graham, Amy, and a bunch of folks behind the scenes who are working very hard to promote this event. And if you've ever been to a Special Olympics or you participated or volunteered in promoting the event and whatever the case may be, it really is a magical thing. And this is really our 3rd year invested in it, and we continue to grow. And it's going to be an annual endeavor for our district. We want it to be part of our culture. And it's just a fantastic thing for the board, for all of you to be here to recognize this population of kids and parents and folks who are so committed to helping them. So we want to thank you, and I guarantee you you'll be proud of them. So thank you.
Thank you. I wanted him to share that because when he comes and say, we need money for this and that, you know, it's, it's definitely a cost that we want to continue to invest in. So we'll continue our recognitions tonight with our Career and Technical Education Student of the Month, Tyron Smith. Tyron is a senior at the Automotive Technology Program at Heights High. And he had to work tonight and unfortunately could not be here, but his program instructor, Jeff Porter, is here to give you more information on the Student of the Month. So if Mr. Porter can come up, please. But let's give Tyron a hand. He's going to accept the award on his behalf, so he watches this videotape. He will know that he was recognized. So on behalf of Tyron.
Thank you very much.
It's all yours.
Good evening. Tyron couldn't be here today because he started an internship at Tim Lally Chevy. Yes, had the opportunity. Thank you. Tyron also works, so he's feeling what the adult workforce is like and couldn't make the commitment. What I would like to say about Tyron is he was a very dedicated student in the program, obviously motivated, a model student, the type of person you want not only as a student, but somebody you want service in your car and your family's safety. These type of relationships that we're building with our community and our businesses are important for our kids. He is leaving school with 4 national certifications, and this opportunity with the internship with Chevy is going to start his career in the right direction. The opportunity is going to be available for him by going through a nationally certified program like NATEF, like our automotive program, was a huge opportunity for Tyron in his high school experience. So I want to say thank you. I know he was very happy and excited, and also he was very sad that he didn't get to come here and accept it, but that's why I'm here to accept it for him. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
If you'd please convey the board's congratulations to him when you talk to him. Please convey the board's congratulations to him and tell him that we're jealous of Tim Lally.
So next is our CTE program of the month, the National Technical Honor Society. Pharmacy technician instructor Anna Kiss is here to tell us more about it. Good evening, Anna. Come on forward.
Hello, I am a co-advisor with Mary Anderson, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. She is actually tutoring someone. But what I would like to say is the National Technical Honor Society currently serves 100,000 active members since 2016 and nearly 1 million since its inception in 1984. Over the course of the years, there is over $225,000 in scholarships available to NTHS members. NTHS honors achievements of the top CTE students. It provides scholarship opportunities, encourages the pursuit of further education, and cultivates excellence in today's highly competitive skilled workforce. For over 30 years, NTHS has been acknowledged leader in recognition of outstanding student achievement in career and technical education. In order to qualify for NTHS, students must demonstrate skilled workmanship, honesty, responsibility, leadership, citizenship, good attendance, and scholastic achievement by earning a minimum of a 3.0 cumulative GPA during the course of their high school career and a 3.5 GPA for their career course. This year, we have the largest inductee class in over 10 years. We have 27 of our students being inducted into NTHS this year. Thank you. The induction ceremony will be held in the high school auditorium on May 11th at 1 o'clock. We invite you to attend. I have save the date cards if you're interested. I will leave them with Dr. Dixon. And I just wanted to say, in closing, I want to congratulate all of our inductees, our students, our parents, the teachers, and the community, because without everybody doing their share, we would not have such a successful group this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kiss. Some nice save the date cards. So finally, we're here tonight to recognize and celebrate our dedicated staff who have achieved tenure or continuing contract status. So here with us tonight is our HR Director, Paul Lombardo, and Paul is going to come up and make some remarks and present our certificates in alphabetical order. And again, apologies on behalf of myself and the board to the staff that we were a little late getting over here to be involved in the festivities, but we'll be here afterwards to speak with you and congratulate you individually. Okay, Paul?
All right, good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce teachers and certified support staff from our district recommended to the Board of Education for their completion of requirements towards tenure. Teacher or certified support staff initially licensed before January 1st, 2011, continuing contract eligibility will be met if they have 3 years' experience in Cleveland Heights, University Heights, or receive tenure in a previous school district and 2 years of service with us here. They must have a master's degree or 30 graduate hours beyond their bachelor's degree. They must have a professional or permanent teaching license. Before I introduce the staff, I want to thank people that have made this possible. Kathan Bricker in our communications department, she created the programs and certificates. AVI for the food and refreshments. And also Kim Ehrlich, our HR confidential administrative staff specialist, try to say that 4 times, who organized this entire event. So if we can recognize the people that put this together, please. The program has 13 staff members who were granted tenure this year. I'll be introducing those staff members. As I call your name, please come up and accept your certificate. And if we can wait till the end to recognize all of them with applause. The first person, Kenethia Brown. She's at Cleveland Heights High School. She's program specialist for early college English. She joined the district in 2013, bachelor's in Cleveland Heights or Cleveland State University, and master's of education from Cleveland State University. Second, we have Heather Calvert, Monticello Middle School, assignment English Language Arts. Joined the district in 2014, Bachelor's of Arts from John Carroll University, and Master's from Marygrove College. We have Mark Doherty, Roxborough Middle School, assignment Spanish. Joined the district in 2013, a Bachelor's of Arts from Denison University, and Master's of Education from Cleveland State University. Jessica Fisher from Fairfax, assignment 3rd grade teacher. Joined the district in 2013, Bachelor's of Arts from Muskingum College, Master's of Ed from Nova Southeastern University. Rebecca McDonald, Cleveland Heights High School, assignment Math. Joined the district in 2012, Bachelor's of Science, Kent State University, and Master's from Cleveland State University. Reza Moazzez, Cleveland Heights High School, Science Early College is the assignment. Joined the district in 2013, Bachelor's of Arts from Case Western Reserve University, and Master's from Western Governors University. Carla Morrison, Boulevard Elementary, 3rd grade teacher. Joined the district in 2013, Bachelor's of Arts from Wright State University. Carrie Riley, Cleveland Heights High School, Board of Ed. She also works at the Board of Ed. School psychologist. Joined the district in 2013, Bachelor's of Arts, Ursuline College, Master's of Education, John Carroll University. Ronna Schuler, Cleveland Heights High School, work-study coordinator. Joined the district in 2014, Bachelor's of Science, Kent State University, Master's of Ed, Kent State University. Amanda Sell, Roxborough Middle School, English Language Arts and Social Studies. Joined the district in 2008, Bachelor's of Science, Kent State University. Amy Sisto, district-wide elementary instrumental music. Joined the district in 2014, Bachelor's of Arts, University of Louisville, and Master's in Music, Indiana University. Andrew Sattel, Monticello Middle School, Social Studies teacher. Joined the district in 2011, Bachelor's of Arts from John Carroll University. Brian Tufts, Cleveland Heights High School, Program Specialist Math. Joined the district in 2012, Bachelor's of Science, Cleveland State University. If we can give them all a round of applause. Thank you.
So thank you, Paul, and thank you, staff. We're so great to have staff members like you working in our district. You work tirelessly every day, and thank you to your administrators who are here that are representing each of the buildings. I see Ms. James, Roxborough, Monticello is here. Who else? Any other principals do we have here? And also our PTA support in Reaching Heights. So thank you all for being here tonight with our staff in this recognition. Okay, thank you.
Before we leave awards and recognitions, I just have one other recognition. Oftentimes when we have someone in the audience who's either public official or whatever, but tonight I just would like to recognize Merle Johnson, who is a candidate for the State Board of Education. Thank you for being here. All right, we will move on to public address. We have no requested audience tonight, so we'll take statements from the audience, and I have a list here, starting with Steve Warner about the Oxford Garden. Steve, before you start, just you can come on, that's fine. So just so everyone knows, the way we do this is everyone who comes up to the microphone gets 5 minutes to speak. We limit it because we want to give everyone a chance to say everything they want to say. So if you'll just sort of glance over at me every once in a while, I'll let you know when you're getting close. Go ahead, Steve.
My name's Steve Warner. I've worked for the district for 18 years, and I've lived in Cleveland Heights all my life. This year I took a leave of absence after teaching for 18 years to work on a project that started about 6 or 7 years ago, connecting real-life experiences to classroom activities. And I really would like to thank the district for letting me take my time off to work for the district on this project. So I did a lot of different things on my leave, and one of the things I did was work at Oxford Elementary School, connecting first grade writing instruction and science instruction to raising worms and plants in the classroom. And it's fun. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I think I know the kids at Oxford enjoy it as well. We just finished last week this little unit that I called Dancing with Worms, where we talked about, well, you can figure it out. It's dancing with worms. So it's not, the work I'm doing isn't because it's fun. It is fun. I enjoy it. The kids enjoy it. The reason I've gone on this project is that I really feel that taking something, a subject, and making it fun makes learning real. And I really feel that the talk about kids leaving our district and kids leaving public education, I think that real-life experiences that kids take home and report to their families and get reported home are the things that would keep parents are the things that would keep parents keeping their kids in school. So I believe that it's impossible for a classroom teacher to really truly embrace the outdoors daily in their classes, and just after 180 days of teaching, it's grueling to get through a day and then take time to embrace the outdoors and embrace hands-on learning. So on my leave at Oxford, I have the ability to go fresh to Oxford 2 days a week for an hour and a half and do lessons with the kids. When I think about the logistical nightmare of funding a position internally after the district had to go through its painful teacher layoffs, I'm fully aware that this project's not going to continue internally funded, but I do think it can be funded externally with the community support, with the support of the gardeners, and with support of organizations in the Heights that have taken interest. Particularly, I'm thinking of the Heights Community Congress, who has pledged support to us. I think that a group of community members, strong community members, can come together and say, you know what, this is a way that learning can come alive, and this is a way that we can convince families that they need to keep their kids in our district. What troubles me is my leave is just about over. I have one more month, and then this summer, and then I go back to the high school as a special education high school teacher. And I feel the pressure of the clock ticking, and I really believe that if I do this correctly, I can pass on the momentum I have to others that are not classroom teachers, that can support my work to continue next year at the elementary level when I go back to the high school. And I really believe that critical mass of community members that have honest, courageous conversations about why our kids should stay in the district, why our kids should be embracing the outdoors, is where my leave ends and where the work of a group of people come together. My ask to the community and to the board and to the people that I can talk to in whatever means is to gather together as a community to say, how can we embrace the outdoors? How can we embrace not just the outdoors, but hands-on activities and make it doable for teachers to do? When I am teaching, when you get into May, it gets real abstract to take kids outside. No matter how much I would like to take them outside, it gets real abstract. But when you have support of community and we have support of outside funding, which I think we could get, I really do, I think that amazing things could happen in our district. And I think it could not just be a reason for parents to keep their kids in the district. I think it could be a bragging point for our city, our schools, and us as a community. So with that, my ask is that we try to gather together as a community and talk about how we can continue. And I'm real proud of what I've done on my leave, and what I am really looking forward to are the next two speakers. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, Mr. Zucker.
If you're done, then if you'll help them when they come up. But I don't know if you guys want to come up together or if you want to come separately. I'm going to give you that choice. But Ms. Reed, are you coming with them or no? Okay. So I have Deontay Reed and Tevante Ammons. Did I pronounce that right? If you guys want to come up, then Mr. Warner can help you with the microphone a little bit. So, but you can each speak separately. You each get 5 minutes if you want. Okay.
So you're going to say what it's like in Oxford?
Well, at Oxford, when Mr. Warner's here, it's just amazing because you learn about worms and plants, and you just get to know all the fun facts about them. And the best part is and I'm talking to all you who haven't planted, because it's awesome. It's amazing. Now I'm going to pass things on to Tevante. Well, when Mr. Warner's here, we work with the worms, we experiment on plants, and we help the plants grow, and we experiment on what the worms do with the plants, and we make plants and we grow them, and then we pick them and make new plants.
I'd like to take a class of playing with worms. I'm just going to say it. Thank you very much. Nice job, everybody. All right, so next we have Alyssa Bray about the Oxford Garden. Follow that.
Hello, my name is Lisa Bray on behalf of Oxford Elementary PTA. First, I would like to read a letter from the Heights Community Congress. So, dear members of the CHUH Board of Education, we are sorry not to be present at tonight's meeting. We do wish to send you a statement in support of Mr. Steve Warner and his Oxford Gardening Project. At the beginning of the year, HCC became acquainted with Steve and very intrigued with his vision of combining writing with hands-on experience, such as gardening for first grade students. We feel privileged to have shared his insights and learnings of the project over the past semester. It is good for community relations to have opportunities such as this to support optimistic teachers and lively and bright students as they learn together. Building relationships is at the center of HCC's aim for a strong community. We urge you to support this project. Heights Community Congress intends, to the best of our ability, to lend moral support as well as financial support to the continuation of this project. Thank you for all that you do to strengthen connections and learning opportunities for the students of our community. Sincerely, and it was signed by the board president and director. So I wanted to read that letter, but also as PTA representative for Oxford Elementary, we fully supported this idea when Mr. Warner came to us for various reasons. To get Oxford involved again in the community obviously was one of them. Teaching our children real-life experiences, which we do every day in the classroom, but gardening for me, not just as a PTA representative, but as a resident of the city of Cleveland Heights and as a mother, I think is essential to the growth in our community for our children and for ourselves. And when the idea was presented to us, I couldn't think of a better way to kick it off, but within an elementary school. We heard from the students and how they feel and how enthusiastic they are. I do believe, and I myself have a vested interest in understanding growing and gardening and feeding ourselves. And I think those are conversations that we should continue. And I do agree with Mr. Warner when he says in terms of our district needs and keeping our students here, it could most definitely be a highlight. And as a PTA representative, we are also prepared and ready to support this program financially through fundraisers along with the community if this is something, I won't even say if, when this is something that we continue with. So, thank you. This is
Next is Tom Gibson, I believe, Oxford Guard, and I think it says OES, is that right? Oh, well, gosh, good for me. Yeah. Oh, golly.
Hi, I'm Tom Gibson. I'm a Cleveland Heights resident, and I've been working with the Oxford Community Garden to help them design places, a new garden perimeter to bring in the community. And one of the things the gardeners told us as we were designing this is that over the years, the garden, which has been under the Office of the Aging, had never been able to really communicate with the schools and never done anything with the schools. And if you know the layout, the garden is on school property. They use school water. It's about 24 yards from the school. But they had never been able to communicate with the school, and they wanted to get involved with the school. So we designed in a children's garden. And it was sort of a build it and they will come, and Steve arrived, and the worm program arrived, and we look forward to more cooperation.
Next, we have Alan Wilkinson, Experiential Ed at Oxford.
Alan Wilkinson, I'm a cheerleader for this too, but the fundamental part of this is children often don't have enough physical experiences pre-K, so they don't grasp the language or the other abstractions that come to them in school, and it's very difficult. We did some stuff with a microscope, and it's a whole new world for them. It's something they've never even known about, that there's a microscopic world busier than the world that they can see. And so it's that kind of thing that really builds their experience. There was another thing. They were just scooping, filling their planting pots and having to scoop it out of a bucket. There was a mechanics experience that many of them had not had. That kind of stuff is essential if you're going to go into any kind of STEM education. And I guess the other thing I've said often before, STEM and even the arts are fundamentally nonverbal. K-12 education has spent a lot of time over the last 30 years really thinking everything is verbal. But the foundations of STEM, of STEAM, are nonverbal. And if you don't get those foundations, you'll not do well at STEM and STEAM. And I think our district struggles in that area. We do well in the arts, but in STEM, we struggle. So I'm cheering it on. This is perfect stuff, and first graders are a very different cup to fill. And I've done mostly high schoolers and middle schoolers before. They're very different folks. So thank you.
Then last we have Nancy Dietrich, Heights Community Congress, and Nancy is sitting there. Okay, so Nancy, no. All right, and that's the list for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for your comments. All right, moving on. We move on to personnel. I'm sorry, to superintendent's report. I apologize. Didn't mean the strategic plan update.
Yes. So tonight, I want to update you on Goal 5. And we have it on the screen. Finance, technology, and facilities. The district has the finances and infrastructure to provide outstanding 21st century education, keeps community informed about the use of resources. That was the goal. So to provide an update, we're going to go 2A, 5.2A and 5.2B. We stated that we were going to reduce the district energy consumption and amount of solid waste disposed of by the district. I informed you about a month ago, the Green Apple Project. We have an interview process underway to hire an energy coach. So we have received quite a bit number of people who've applied for that position. So we're eager to get that process and secure that person. And we hope to have that person hired before the end of this month. And we're developing a timeline for the rollout of the program to principals and teachers. As you recall, there was an educational component of that. So we're going to implement that, give the professional development to our principals and our teachers regarding what that means. So once that position is hired, that person will be working with the building principals and teachers to implement that. So the next one, go 4A, increase the classroom access to educational technology devices and improve connectivity. So as stated, we purchased 475 Chromebooks and they were deployed to our elementary schools. As I stated in the past, we've purchased technology, but we've given it to mainly our secondary schools. So our elementary schools were very happy to receive the new Chromebooks. And Chromebooks were chosen as a device platform at all levels with more to be purchased in the future. We do have those dollars budgeted, and we decided we're going to purchase some additional ones next year, but the dollars have already been allocated. The next one, go 4A, increase classroom access, educational technology devices and improve connectivity. Again, staff device pilot program is underway to gather feedback from teachers and administrators. So we decided this year, instead of purchasing something that may not work for teachers, we're allowing teachers and also administrative staff to experiment with several different devices. And so they give a feedback, they have a form that they complete, and they inform us if this is, is user-friendly or if it's not. And so once we compile all that data, they will bring a recommendation for us for a purchase. And the budget has already been established too, and we're going to follow up with what the rollout plan is for those devices for our teachers.
So is that kind of like an IT request?
Yes.
So, but it's different. It's like just any kind of feedback that they need to give, or is it specific to
the use and the purpose? Some of the devices that we've purchased in the past may not bode well with the instructional pieces that we purchase. So we want to make sure, one, that we're not purchasing a device that we can't use if we, implement a new reading curriculum, and we don't want to do that. And then we don't want to purchase a device that teachers can't use. It's not teacher friendly. So we decided that as part of that goal is that we are going to test and pilot that devices and get ongoing feedback before we make the purchase. So that's where we are with Goal 5, and each month I will update it in this format. So thank you, Jim, for your feedback, and make sure we have a format so that the audience could see how we were progressing on all of our strategic plan goals. Okay.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I guess in terms of these updates, you're keeping a master
Yes.
So this is contained in a master somewhere?
Yes, we're containing this in a master summary. The Scott is housed in his department, and we also put it on the website. And then at the end of this year, we will compile a document so that the entire community can know how we've progressed on all of our goals in year one.
Okay.
And I think that the next thing in my report, I would like to talk just briefly about our staffing. So we have, we initially stated that we were cutting 52 staff members. And so we have since called back 12 of those staff members. And 6 of those staff members were because of the Belfair situation. So, and then we decided there were some other staff members that we needed when we looked at our course offerings at our high schools, program offering at Oxford. Oxford was currently, they have Chinese and they want to move to Spanish. So at the current time, we're bringing back 12 positions from the RIF list. And an additional 2 positions, would be a total of 14, but 2 of them would be based on, as I stated in the meeting, the RIF meeting, that 2 were new positions that we're creating. One is a social studies and an ELA, I'm sorry, social studies and a science coach. So with 12 positions will be coming back and 2 will be added with a total of 14. So right now, our number, Scott, is what, 40? But we're at 40. So I just wanted to give you an update, and I'll include some more information in your, and Paul has been working with our union, and they've notified the staff members. I think all staff members have been notified at this point, and pretty much all of them have accepted and decided to stay with the district, which is a great thing. Okay.
Just a quick question. Is this information been included in our 5-year forecast already?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay. Then next on the agenda is item D2, approval of the following field trips. Roxborough Middle School 8th grade students field trip to Williamsburg, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., scheduled for November 9th through 11th, 2016. That is still yet to come. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments of any kind? Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
And anything else in the superintendent's report? All right, we'll move on to personnel. I can take items E1 through, can I take them all? Okay, items E1, I need a motion for items E1 through 14.
So moved. I moved it. Anyone?
Do I have a second? Okay. Any questions or comments?
Did somebody second?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Okay, never mind.
Mr. Gaynor, the roll, please.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to business services then. Item F1, recommendations to approve the following change orders for Cleveland Heights High School. I'll take, I think I have to take each one separately, right? Yeah. So 1A, change order number 35.
So
I need a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please.
Thank you. Change order 35 is for the added scope and added costs for the clock tower. And this is to fully restore the clock tower. I must point out, though, that the costs are being somewhat offset by the Alumni Foundation, of which is providing $100,000 for that. In addition to that, the district is in discussions with a major donor who is also brought, who has, they're in final discussions. I can't name the name tonight, but they are working on that to really offset this added cost to where this could be adjusted to less than $100,000. And one of the other things I wanted to point out is this clock tower restoration also includes a solution that is very low maintenance. And this is pretty critical. One of the key elements, as you know, is the clock tower, the existing one, because of the paint and having to repaint it. This would allow for a 50-year life of the clock tower, and that would make a huge difference in terms of long-term maintenance of it.
I want to thank you for mentioning the net on it, because I know the number here, when we first saw it, I was like, hey, what's going on? But the reality is that there was what was in the budget, and then we have at least 1 or 2 sets of donations, so net should bring it much lower than the sticker price of $280.
That's correct.
That's good.
We have a motion, right?
Any other questions?
Are we taking them one at a time, or do we?
We have to take
I think
one
we
at a
have to
time,
take
yeah.
change orders individually.
In our meetings, you also mentioned that this is going to be historically relevant, so it's not like you're putting vinyl siding
That's
up there.
correct.
That's going to last 50 years. I mean, this is going to look authentic.
Yeah, it is a full restoration based on the original historic documents, and it will have all the detailing of the original clock tower, some of which doesn't even exist today because it's been fallen off and things like that, and it will have all of the necessary detailing.
Other questions, comments? Okay, Mr. Gaynor?
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
All right, the second one is change order number 36, and I need a motion first? I'm
So
sorry.
moved. Second.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Change order 36 has to deal with some existing conditions and also with some site items. And in terms of that the existing conditions of some of the steel, and particularly when it came down to the foundations and the column plates that were connected between the original historic building and the new addition, the design was based on the original historic existing condition documents, that is the historic documents. When the building was torn down and the additions were torn down, it found out that those did not coincide with the original documentation. So what it involved was then having an additional steel and redesign of the steel base plates, columns and pieces that were connected to the building. The other portion of this is a smaller portion, but it's within this change order, is also there were some additional site items that were added based on the Planning Commission and Architectural Review approval, which included some types of trees and some landscaping that we had to enhance based on their recommendations and their approvals.
The only question, I know I've asked before, I'll just say it because it's more of a public session. If you could work on I know after suffering through a 4.5-hour architectural board of review meeting, which struck me as more of the less I say about that, the better. But if you could give us a list of all of the things that the City of Cleveland Heights in its various entities, there's different components, an aggregate total of the list and what the things are, because I think there's been a number of things where I'm like, why are we doing this? Oh, we have to do it for the city. Why are we doing this? We have to do it for the city. In the aggregate, it's maybe a significant number, so I'd be very curious to see what that total is.
We can do that, and we would be in the process of doing it because there's still some other items, including the next change order includes items on that. Plus, there's some other elements that we're working on the exterior that also will eventually be change orders.
Because I don't know that our peers on the City of Cleveland Heights City Council know that of the cost issues that their staff and respective committees are costing us. So I'd like to have that information so I can tell them.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Okay, I'll need a motion for change order number 37, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Zinno.
Change order 37 is similar to the change order 36, where again, the existing building, what was expected in terms of the structure, and particularly on beams and lintels, that was going to be connected to the steel frame of the new structure. This existing structure could not accommodate, it was what was originally proposed. So again, it had to be changed, and that was based on new configurations and then deficiencies in the existing structure. And that is one of the main elements of this. Also included some masonry infill from some existing openings because of a deleted item, a custodial storage. It also included some concrete because of a retaining wall. And then the last item, which is something that Eric pointed out, was that we've added screen walls per the ABR request for some of the equipment that's on the roofs. And there is in addition to those screen walls, there's steel structure that holds those walls up, which then added costs to the project.
Any other questions, comments? Any questions, comments, I should say? I'm sorry.
Not on this one.
Okay, Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes. Okay, we're on change order number 38. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Zanoni?
This is for the unforeseen unsuitable soils which were under the building that have been stockpiled. One of the things that originally, as you know, when we say unsuitable, it doesn't mean environmentally unsuitable. What it meant was that they're unsuitable to hold the structure of the building, that they did not have the bearing capacity that was originally anticipated based on the soil borings. As some of you are aware, when the buildings were torn down, the soils underneath the existing buildings were what we call organic material, which includes tree stumps and things of that nature. The consultants who do all of the testing, which are independent of the architect and the construction manager, came back to us and said, you can't use these soils, so they had to be removed. They were initially stockpiled over on the side where the where the existing baseball and softball fields were. We tried to use a lot of those soils to kind of raise some of the areas in terms of where those softball fields, but we still had too much soils that this had to be removed. A lot of work went in this with the construction manager. The original cost of removing these unsuitable soils was approximately over $400,000. After working together with the team, we were able to get it to reduce down to $251,000. Certainly that's not something to be happy about, but the team did work very, very diligently to make sure that this cost was as low as possible.
And these soils, if I remember from some photographs, pretty much that's off-site now, and they're beginning to work on the geothermal.
That's correct.
Other questions, comments?
Well, I mean, I think what's somewhat frustrating, if we were building a house and we found unsuitable soils underneath our house, and for years our house was on those soils and it was fine and it wasn't falling down, you would think if we were homeowners, we'd be able to get away with using that. I mean, this is a school building with kids, and architects are signing their not only architects, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but engineers, architects, contractors. I mean, nobody's going to guarantee the building unless it's on a perfect piece of soil. And I mean, I know it's built into the contingencies. And I know initially you thought the number would be close to nearly $1 million. I know it's
correct.
less than $1 million now, thankfully. But this is the stuff that we're finding. And, it's unfortunate, but I mean, it's money that has to be spent. So, and thank you for trying to make sure that, I mean, auditing the books and making sure that that number that is being spent is as low as possible.
I think that goes to the issue we've had before was when we first heard about this, was like, wait a minute, the building's been there for 80 years, 90 years, 50 or 60 years, why is this a problem? And basically, the building specs from 1926 or 1930 would be a little bit different from today.
Correct.
And more importantly, we couldn't no one's going to sign off on the documentation unless we address the issue.
That's correct.
I guess what got me is you have the pool, and you got to put the new soils, the pool, then you got to dig it up again because you need to keep the structure, and then those soils go away, and it's like,
it is frustrating, and I think Jim, you and Eric summarized it well. The standards are different today, and then also that all of these consultants have licenses and their insurance programs basically require them to follow the letter of the standard of today. And I will say this, it really comes down to the independent consultant who is not our engineers were not the ones who initiated this. It wasn't our architects, it wasn't our construction manager. We have an independent testing service, which you're required to do when you do these types of projects, because you want to make sure that they have no skin in the game, that they're not providing something that's of lower quality. And so they work independently, and they were the ones who then came to the project team and said, hold it, you can't use these soils.
I also think it needs to be said that although this is a bit of a surprise, when you have the middle school project coming down the line and you had people in the basement during spring break boring holes to make sure that this issue wasn't going to occur again.
Correct. We did do soil borings inside the building over the Christmas break, which we felt we needed to do that based on this experience. That this was a very unusual experience, especially having organics, that everything down to tree stumps under a building. It was very unusual.
Could you just address the point that, again, standards have changed, but there's still original soil under the parts of the building we did not excavate. So those do not have to be.
That's correct. These are only areas that were identified by the independent testing agent that said that these areas had to have removal of soil. We didn't remove all the soils under all the old existing structures, but this was a substantial amount because you go pretty deep to make, and it's not just the soils, but then we have to replace those soils with a soil that could structurally take on the foundations.
Right, and again, I don't want to pretend I have knowledge I don't have, but my sense of it is the disruption of the building disrupts the soil, therefore the load-bearing issue comes into play, whereas the areas of the building we did not disrupt, the reason why it's still safe is because we have not moved those soils.
Disrupted. I'm glad you said that. Yes, because I think I don't want to have the impression that the areas where we left existing building, like the auditorium or the wings or where the clock tower is, that those soils are, that it's going to sink. It will not.
Right.
It's just that the standards have changed, and so we're required to do that for new construction.
Okay, thank you very much. Nothing else? Okay, then Mr. Gaynor.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion for change order number 39. We need a motion first.
Oh, yeah, I should need a motion.
I'll give you a motion, I'll do a motion, but I have a question.
Okay.
I'll say a motion.
Whose motion?
I move, you can second.
Wait, did you?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about
Do you
that.
want
I'll
to say?
second.
All right, all right, go ahead, Mr. Zanoni, and then you, Eric, we'll let you ask your question after you let it.
Well, no, my question isn't about numbers, because the document I had before had number 40 with is the old 39, is old 40 now number 39? Okay, that was my question. Never mind.
Then if he explains it, then make sure it's what.
No, I'm good, I'm good.
Go ahead, Mr. Zanoni.
Okay, change order number 39 is for trees, site furnishings, and other deferred site work that was not part of the GMP. Now, at the time, because it was not part of the GMP, it was because of budget limitations. The team working with the construction manager was able to find a credit to pretty much pay for this materials for these trees. These are also in terms of the seasonal netting, the batting netting these are for the softball fields and those elements. And so they were able to find a credit of $155,000. That still left us, though, $20,000 short. And it's our recommendation that we take that credit and we use those dollars then to pay for all of these elements.
Questions, comments?
The credit was approximately $155,000.
So there's two parts to this?
Well, no,
Is
it nets out to 20. We take the credit, the cost of all of this work is approximately, what, 170-some thousand dollars. But since we were able to find a credit in the GMP, instead of costing us $170,000, it's only going to cost us $20,000.
Okay, I guess the question is that, for me, is we're talking about the trees and the netting and so on and so forth, and then we're talking about a concrete slab, a slab topping. And it looks like two things.
The credit is for, we didn't have to do those concrete slabs. What we were able to get, because of the changes in some of the structural things, the pieces that we did, we were now able to get a credit for work. What we got the credit for was for the concrete admixture we didn't have to do for the concrete slabs on grades, these toppings. We also had some moisture mitigation dollars in the GMP we didn't have to use, so we got a credit for that. We also had some of the installation pieces. We were able to accept a change order as a credit of $155,000 because we didn't have to do that work.
Okay, and so it says future moisture mitigation might be required. Can you speak to that a little bit? And that's a cost that we would end up potentially having going forward. Is that correct?
I have our construction manager. Is there any risk in terms of future mitigation that we?
Do you want to come to the mic, please?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The risk for future moisture mitigation is low. That's why this credit was offered, is because the risk is low. It's always a matter of evaluating risks. So the high-risk areas are under the wood floors at the gyms, so we kept those with this moisture mitigating product. At the elevated slabs, where the slab topping is a lot thinner, it has avenues above and below for the moisture to escape. Whereas the two gym slabs only have one avenue for moisture to escape and a very sensitive, moisture-sensitive wood floor. So that's why we kept it at the gyms, and at the other floors, the risk of future moisture mitigation is very low. Also, the carpet, for instance, which is in a lot of the classrooms, is more tolerant of moisture than the gym floors would be.
Okay, so we won't know until it shows up.
With 100% certainty, you're correct, but it's a high percentage certainty that it's not going to be needed.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's not 100%.
Okay.
Help me understand process a little bit. So there's a credit you found, and you apply. I'm using the word arbitrarily, not in a mean way, but
No,
arbitrarily applied it to one of the change orders. So
That's correct.
if you ever went back to track and say how much change orders were, then you'd have to know the credit was in there. Why would you not, for instance, create a negative dollar change order?
That's why we're here tonight, to make sure that you're aware of what we're doing. I mean, this is under the threshold.
Microphone.
Yeah, this is, first of all, you can track it because as part of the change order, it shows the credit.
Right.
So it is trackable.
Okay.
And the reason we brought it to you, it is under the threshold, the $50,000 threshold. But we felt very strongly that you needed to know about getting a credit for this, on the project.
Help me. Okay, and now I'm confused with the numbers. So the actual change is $170,000, which is above the $50,000 threshold. Because you applied a credit, it's under the $50,000.
Yes, that's why we brought it to you.
But that's the point.
That's why we brought it to you.
Right, and I get that you're bringing, don't get me wrong, I'm just asking, you choose to adhere, and it's fine. In the dollars and cents world, it still all works out, so that's fine. But I was wondering if normally you would have it so that the credit is actually highlighted as a line item, if there's a value to that, I mean, from a financial standpoint. There may not be,
We do show it in the change order log. It does indicate that credit, so you can go back and find that credit.
Okay.
But it's compiled with the other amount. So you have to, it is trackable. You can find the credit in the log.
Right. Well, I'll say for the record, I mean, I am glad you decided to come, because I would not have considered this an under $50,000 change. I would consider this a $170,000 change.
And that's why.
So I want you to know for the future that I think you made the right choice.
Yeah, that's why we brought it in front of you.
Yeah, very
Because we were under the same,
I
we
think
felt
that's
the
good.
same way.
Cal, one of the things that they're doing in our Thursdays and Friday meetings with Eric is, they do share all this documentation, but the problem here is it's lots of silos of information of where money is getting moved around, and it's not real clear. I mean, you look at the auto tech program. That is part of the Wiley Enabling Project, but that was supposed to be part of the high school, but that's buried deep into the change orders. I mean, this stuff is very, very complicated.
I get that.
And, I mean, we need to, probably as a board, get some better sense of, high-level siloed numbers as we move forward, especially as we move forward on the middle schools.
Fair enough. Other questions, comments?
Not on this one, no.
You have something?
I guess we can do this, and then I got a question.
Okay. So Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
And Mr. Register, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to understand the change order process. I think the change order, we're actually using a state-generated form to do the change orders? Is that?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah, and so the sign-off, it seemed that the first sign-off on it is the architect. If we discover the need for a change order, does that mean at that point we would engage the architect in the conversation? Can you tell me a little bit about,
That's a good,
that process?
I'm glad you asked that. They're required to. Any change has to be reviewed by the architect, but before it becomes a change, it's considered a request for change, and that is, it comes back, either the architect has suggested, or a good example is the soils. Said we have to remove those soils. So there is first a budget amount placed on that for that number that's based on an estimate. It's not the actual cost. Then when the actual costs come in, it has to be first reviewed by the architect, and we talk about reviewing, and the actual document winds up pretty thick, includes all of the labor, materials, whatever's described. The architect first has to do a review that's based off that information. Once that's done, we then do a second review, and that is a review by the owner's rep, our team. We do another review. Now, here's what often happens, and I know our construction manager does a great job, but sometimes we are in disagreement on a figure, on how much labor. We have maybe somebody, a sub-trade. As you go through these, it goes through, there might be like 5 trades involved. We go through each of those, and sometimes we'll find things. First, the architect may find something that he's in disagreement, so then they go back to the CM before they sign it off to make sure that they're in agreement. Then, once we received it as the owner's rep, you'll see my signature on there, and our team has gone through again and reviewed all the items for a second time, so we get a second set of eyes. Sometimes we disagree. We go back to the architect and the construction manager and say, guys, why do you agree that this is? We don't. And so we go through a negotiated process. It isn't something that's just, and that's why it takes so long to actually get a change order in front of you as a board, because we go through an incredible amount of reviews and to make sure that that all of those figures are correct. And it was through that review process that we were getting some of these savings on a number of these items. Like, if you were to look at the actual original proposed change order number on all of these, it was always higher, in some cases significantly higher, than what was eventually became the actual change. And that was either through a process of saying, can we do it a little simpler? Or it might be, hey, there's some figures here that we don't agree with, or there's some doubling up. Not that anyone's trying to cheat anyone, but it's become so complicated, you need to have a lot of eyes on this before it comes in front of you as a board.
Okay, just a final question. So that means that as we engage our architect in the beginning, we have engaged them throughout the project?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's one of their required services through the project.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have a couple questions, but are not specific to the change orders, because we already voted on them. Well, I guess the first one would be, let me work the glass. We got some paperwork on our glass. Is there anything in regard to a recommendation for the architects as far as that? It's not on our agenda, so I wasn't sure if
We do have the architect here, and we do have the samples.
do you need any action from the board, or is this just more of, this is what you folks are suggesting and you're gonna?
Do we need a board approval? No, because we don't have a change order yet.
Okay.
So we are, can I go through the recommendation? There was a recommendation. We're now preparing a change order for in the pool, and then also the auxiliary gym, that we would have frit glass, which is so you can view into the spaces as opposed to the translucent material and we're going to continue with the translucent material on the gym. And so there would be a change order for changing from translucent material to this frit glass. A decision hasn't been made. It's not made until you approve the change order. We're now in the process of getting those figures and putting that together.
So we should anticipate the next meeting then? Or possible?
I think, will we get that by the next meeting? Yeah, we should have it by the next meeting.
Steve,
yes.
just because not everyone would be necessarily familiar with terminology, translucent means it allows light through, but it's not clear, you can't see through it, so.
We anticipated there might be some questions, and so we've asked the architect to be here tonight.
This diffuses the light.
And you could show the camera too, because other people in the audience, yeah, thanks.
So it's a really great diffuser of light. And on the west side, we felt that it was a great application in the competition gym, because not only are the panels on the west side, but they're also high. So you don't have the ability to really see in or out when the students are on the floor.
And John, I apologize, you could just go to the microphone, so people can hear it.
And then I'll pass that around. That's the frit glass. What we were saying was, and what we discussed with both the CM, the owner's rep, as well as Jim and Eric, was that the competition gym, we felt that the translucent panel was a really great option because the glass is up high. And you don't really have the opportunity to see in the space from the outside, as opposed to the auxiliary gym that has windows much like this room at this height. So when you're on Washington, you could look in and see the students playing basketball or volleyball or whatever activity is going on in that space. That's the fritted glass that you guys have, and that's the specification that's in the project. So that's what you would see. And then this is the translucent panel.
And then part of the rationale, correct me if I'm wrong, is that for the competition gym with the western exposure, after 4 o'clock, especially in the spring and the fall, you've got a lot of light coming in.
Yeah, you got a lot of light coming
so
in.
it could be
There could be glare.
Right.
And we thought that that was a great opportunity for that material.
Okay.
What's the cost difference between the?
Well, we're still working on that.
Okay, that'll come
Yeah.
in the change order.
Well, I mean, you had some estimates. I mean, this was essentially
Well, we had
half
estimates.
the cost, wasn't it?
We had estimates to change 70. That was all of it. And we're, yeah.
John, if you don't have the numbers firm, let's not, yeah.
Yeah,
we can wait and
I
get
mean,
them
I'd
out.
rather not. We were talking about a whole change to the translucent panel from the fritted glass.
So you can get that to us when you have it.
Yeah, we can get that.
And could you explain, to people who aren't as familiar with the project, why would you choose fritted instead of just plain clear glass?
Well, because the frit actually helps diffuse the light also.
And why would we want that?
Because you face you have west-facing glass. Thank you, Cal.
Yeah.
You have west-facing glass, and it would reduce glare into those rooms. And it's also glare on the north-facing glass, because you do get some glare on the north sides of the building, not to the extent that you would on the east or the west.
Are there energy considerations associated with it as well, or no?
No, because you still have the same layers and the same films that are applied to the glass. This is just an added ceramic product.
Other questions? Eric, you look
I
like you
have, my other, I guess, I'll put them not as questions, but more as requests. I'm looking forward to knowing what our schedule is for decision-making and purchasing on furniture. The superintendent is a fan of all new. I'm a fan of what do we have that we can reuse? And I will offer, as an embarrassing offer, that if I'm more than willing to, and I can find some volunteers, to go through the middle schools looking for stuff that we can repurpose if we have a difficulty in having our furniture consultants or whoever do that. I'm also looking forward to, I know we've moved out of decision-making from the board for big things, but I think there's a strong value for the board to know, and the community as well, we're going to see milestones. When do we, as far as, and you can identify the milestones. When are we finishing the floors? When are we putting up the interior, big items on your construction schedule. When we reach those milestones, I think that's very valuable for us to know and to communicate to the public. And the last one would be to get a sense of, I know we're working to not repurpose, but maintain the current paint scheme on the auditorium ceiling. The walls are a bit more in flux. I'll be very curious to see when you have some proposals to us to examine.
We're working on those as we speak. And then in terms of the milestones, we do have schedules of milestones, but one of the things that I want to point out, we're also doing a major scheduling exercise working with the district's personnel, which we want to make sure when they need to get into the building, and because the move isn't a one-day move, it's a process, and I've got to commend the Ozanne Gilbane team have offered to, at their cost, to bring in one of their consultants who really specializes in this, and we're going to have our first meeting in a few weeks. What next? The 19th, on the 19th. So we're in that process right now, and I really do want to commend them for offering that to us.
I would thank you for reminding me, because that was one of the things. I'm very curious to see how our utilization model of the high school with our current course schedule. I'm very curious to see. I think that's probably more on our staff as opposed to you folks, so I'll look to our staff who are still awake and here. That I'd be very curious to see how, when we take our current course catalog and course schedule, how that functions in the building, because I think that could have some impact before we even have studs up. I'd be very curious to see if there's any modifications or tweaks as well.
Well, is there a way to actually schedule in the new building as sort of like a trial run? I mean, one of the things that really worked out great here, and I'll speak because my daughter is here this year, I mean, the scheduling worked really, really well compared to other years. I mean, and it would be really great to see if we can get those kinks out before it actually happens.
Well, that's because when I did a rudimentary, I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I think I'm doing it, hopefully I'm doing it right. It was very interesting to see that when we talk about excess capacity in the old building, that we have considerably less. But I want to make sure that, what I did in my spare time as an amateur, have the pros, have them game out the scenario. I'm very curious, because at this stage we could still, hopefully, affordably modify things if we need to, because we don't have the walls up yet.
All right.
Those are all my questions.
That's it? Anybody else? Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you being here. We move on to item F2, the recommendation to approve the lease agreement between the Board of Education of the Cleveland Heights University City School District and Artful Ohio. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Petcack, you look like you're ready to tell us.
The Artful Group is willing to lease out pretty much the rest of the second floor of Coventry for us. Their interest is from the top where Ensemble ends. Ensemble has a corner piece. They're going to come all the way around the one side. The actual square footage I don't have off the top of my head, but they want to enter into discussions.
Can you
This allows us to do that.
Can you tell us a little bit about them?
The Artful Group, they have a nice website, should visit. It's their main intent is to have space for different artists, from whether it be painting or whatever. They'll have different sections created for the artists to come in and either practice what they want to learn, or they'll have classes that'll be incorporated into the program. It sounds like a great fit for our building.
Anyone have questions for Mr. Peck?
This is just to have discussions. Well, we don't
This
know.
is totally just discussions. They have not even presented me yet with what they have an architect that was engaged, and the architect is laying out a program for them. And once I get that, we'll start talking about what is possible. They know that they have to go to the city, and the district is not paying for any improvements to the facility.
They would be on a one-year lease, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
Everybody's on a one-year
Everyone's
lease.
on a one-year lease. And they know that we have a few leaks in the roof as well?
Pardon?
We have a couple leaks in the roof, are there, or they got those fixed?
All of our tenants know we have a couple leaks in the
Okay.
roof over there. We do our best
Okay, I
to
just
fix them
wanted-
when they happen.
Well,
and-
that's why I don't want them to, expect.
Actually, the last rain, I'm not aware, I didn't get any phone calls, so that's a good
Okay.
thing. Might be self-sealing, which would be a great thing.
The leaves are now coating the roof. so
It
that-
could be.
okay. So when, do we have an estimation of when we should hear back from them, or?
They were waiting for this
Oh, okay.
approval, and once they have this approval, we were going to talk tomorrow, and we'll see where they're at with their drawings, and then we'll get together and work out some minor details, get with the superintendent, and we'll eventually hopefully present you with a lease.
Kindly remind them to park in the front of the building, because I know our tenants have a habit of over-parking off of Washington.
Yes. We do our best to
I just
maintain that.
politely remind them.
Okay.
Can you provide us with that website?
Yes, I can. Before I leave, I'll
Okay.
make sure you get that.
Okay,
Anyone else? Any other questions? Mr. Gaynor?
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Okay, next we'll move on, thank you, Mr. Pekic. We'll move on to item F3, recommendation with our thanks to accept 6 different donations. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pekic, you have anything you want to add to this?
So we're
Again-
thankful for the donations.
And it's a very, very generous set of donations, as it always is. We're very thankful. Does anyone have any comments or questions, or? Okay, Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Zucker?
Yes.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
All right. With that, we move on to item G1, financial reports. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Gaynor, would you like to give us any sort of?
I will just mention that there was a request by the board that we begin doing the 5-year forecast on a monthly basis as part of our standard report. So that's not in this meeting because we are bringing the 5-year forecast to you on May 17th to ask for your approval then. And thereafter, we'll have the 5-year forecast as a standing monthly financial report along with the cash position report that you see here. And to Mr. Register's question, yes, the 40 staff reductions have been included in the updated 5-year forecast, and that's the forecast that the Lay Finance Committee reviewed. And we will discuss that as well on May 17th.
Any questions or comments? Good. All right, then Mr. Gaynor, the roll, please.
Mr. Posh?
Yes.
Mr. Register?
Yes.
Mr. Silverman?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Zucker?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to the board president's report. I have fairly brief comments tonight, but stick with me for a minute. As you saw tonight, and you see in almost all of our board meetings, we cover a broad range of topics, a broad spectrum of decisions, a broad range of issues, a broad range of challenges, and actually a broad range of celebrations. And, we had some eloquent young kids here tonight speaking to us. Now, here's the part you have to stick with me. I went to get my license plate renewed just yesterday, I guess it was. And while I was waiting, there was a little thing going on, and it had little fun facts. And so I'm going to ask you, do you know what the national animal of Scotland is? Turns out it's the unicorn, which most of you, and I bet the kids who are here would know that's not an animal and it's not even a thing. But if what you might know from that is that some governing body took that as an important decision to make. And maybe they did it for fun, who knows? We certainly have our sets of decisions that we make that are sort of interesting in their own right. But some of the things we covered tonight, you heard us sort of go into somewhat of a protracted conversation regarding some of the change orders at the schools. These are extremely important. They have financial implications. Maybe more important, or at least equally important to that, is they have implications to what we're providing to our students and to our staff and to our community as outcomes. In personnel, one thing that it may seem to you we glossed over, but we did not gloss over, is that just like in the last meeting where we made decisions on, and we've now heard 40 staff members, but we made decisions that meant people lost their jobs. We made decisions that very good people who've done very good work for us are no longer working for us. And tonight, again, we did that with 3 administrators. And I don't want to just go unsaid. I don't want to go glossed over. I don't want to be glossed over. I don't want you to think that this board, and I mean all of us, not just me because I'm speaking, don't realize the implications of the decisions we make. We absolutely. 4 administrators. I'm sorry, 4 administrators. Geez, I apologize. The implications of the decisions we make. This is very important. It's important to their lives. It's important to our lives. And again, we can't thank the people enough for the work that they've presented to us. And we wish them all well. I think the other thing that's happened since the last meeting is we've heard from a number of people, but in different means, either people speaking to us, people stopping us, people sending us emails for whatever sets of reasons. And it's interesting because at least most of the communications I've had have all begun with people talking about how much they support the school district and how much they love the programs and the teachers and the other staff members with whom they interact. And then they go on to talk about the fear they have about what's happening. Those of us who've been around this district for a long time have gone through this process many times. It is a terrible, terrible process. But at the same time, what I do feel comforted by is the fact that we are trying to make these decisions with the basis of a strategic plan. We are trying to make these as informed decisions. And even though they're painful decisions, they're painful to people who are affected by it, they are painful to many of us in other ways as well. They are not done capriciously. They are done with thought, a lot of thought behind them. I'm always struck that people come back and say, well, why didn't such and such a board member say something? Or why didn't so-and-so ask a question? Please do not equate that with either lack of caring or lack of understanding of the situation. I will speak for all my colleagues that these people are extremely committed to the decisions they make and the decisions they vote on. And it's important that all of you realize that whether or not people say things at any given meeting, it does not mean they haven't given it a tremendous amount of thought and a tremendous amount of care. So I just wanted to make those points. We move on to unfinished business. Is there unfinished or new?
I think it's actually new.
Okay, so any unfinished business? Okay, new business. I'm going to ask Mr. Register if he just happens to have any new business.
Well, actually, I have a statement to make, and it leads us into what I think are a couple of things that we need to do. And I want to remind you that I had been looking at the question of state funding, and you realize it's an important thing for our district. So I sent out an email to each of you regarding the fact that I was doing some research related to our transfer of funds from the Department of Education foundation funding to support community schools, that is charter schools, and also the private and parochial education funds that were going through Ed Choice vouchers and John Peterson scholarships for special education services. I'm continuing that research and am becoming a little bit of an expert on being able to read financial statements that are kind of hard and complex as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, community schools and Ed Choice and Peterson vouchers all transfer significant funds from our district to private and really unregulated educational agencies. That's particularly true in terms of community schools. This allows to our students a violation, as I see it, of the public trust, and it transfers more responsibility for funding from our district, from us as the Board of Education. It transfers more to us. even though we know that through the DeRolf decisions that the state should bear a larger share of the funding of schools, and not less, which is the direction that they're going in. So here are my thoughts that I think we should consider tonight. First, almost every school district in Ohio loses some of its foundation funding to charter schools, that is, community schools. I believe it is time for us as a board to take a position on this costly loss of public funds. So far, 50 districts, including a handful in Cuyahoga County, have called attention to this problem by passing resolutions to invoice the state for funds lost to community schools. The first community school started in 1999 with a pilot project of about $10 million. Today, it's actually approaches $1 billion going each year to community schools. Some of the districts have invoiced the state for transfers dating back to that original date. In our case, I have come up with a figure of $14.6 million over the last 5 years going to community schools. I am proposing that a minimum we invoice the state for this amount as a way to protest this practice and raise public awareness. And I'll have a recommendation at the end that will modify that to some extent. Second, I am concerned about the Ed Choice and John Peterson scholarship programs. We have lost an additional $6.4 million to these programs to fund private education over the same period. Last year alone, we lost $2.8 million, about 44% of that total. That is a huge annual loss, and it seems to be growing. We need to learn more about these programs. We are responsible for public education funds affecting our community. We have no oversight on these funds. The state actually makes a decision and sends those funds directly to the community schools. Ed Choice vouchers are tied directly to individual school test scores. 3 years of failing to meet state passage rates triggers access to vouchers for private education for children living in that school area. This is one of the high-stake decisions that is tied to Ohio's testing and accountability program. It is very costly to our community and the education of our children. These test scores should not result in a loss of public funds, but that is exactly what is happening. Ed Choice scholarships are particularly troubling because they are allowing students who otherwise are not planning to attend our schools to take advantage of the continuing attack on public education. I have included some information for you, so to some extent in this package you can see, for example, where some of those dollars are going, and they're actually subsidizing some private kindergartners who would probably never end up in our schools if they're at any rate. So the Ed Choice program puts us in the middle of the high-stake testing issue, which I feel is an appropriate place for us. This means we would be sticking our necks out and ultimately taking a position which we might find a bit uncomfortable. Again, I think it's the right position for us to take, and it supports our charge to act as advocates for our constituents. I would like for us to build our knowledge base around this issue and be prepared to advocate appropriately a position. The Heights Coalition of Public Education is already conducting research and book discussions concerning this issue, this topic. We should become more familiar with their work and potentially engage further with them. I finally would like to convene a meeting of the East Side Boards of Education, and maybe the set of Board of Educations that are associated with the Educational Service Center. There are 17 districts there, and they have shown some interest in such a convening. Last month, some of us attended the East Side Board of Education's meeting, and they expressed an interest in furthering this dialogue and conversation with us and among the collected views. In conclusion, I'd like to convey that school funding is very complicated. State share, index, value added, property valuation. I mean, there's any number of things, and as I have gotten into this, it is challenging just to find out how to stick where to find the numbers to stick in the formula, so we know a little bit about what we're doing. I have worked very closely with our CFO on this, and we're both prepared to maybe respond to any questions that you may have. Tonight, I'm asking for 3 specific actions. First, I want you to commission the CFO and me to draft a resolution that we can bring back in our business meeting in June for us to invoice the state with the appropriate numbers and so on. So we will do some work, and we're in touch with other districts to kind of see how they came up with the numbers, and we will probably use a similar methodology. Secondly, I'd like to engage the coalition for further dialogue regarding testing and school funding. And thirdly, I would like you to commission me to represent us in building a collaboration with other boards of education to address common concerns about school funding and other related issues. So those are my recommendations, and I'm up for questions and clarification.
So before we do questions, thank you, Mr. Register, for all the work on this. Mr. Gainer, do we need anything that requires a vote on this?
No, it's just a...
That's what I thought, but I just want to make sure it was said.
Wink and a nod.
Well, no, it's not a wink and a nod.
Okay, then
So
I
let's.
Are you not able to wink?
Let's, any questions for Mr. Register other than, or thanks for all the work you did on this?
Well, first question would be, can you get us a list of the other districts who have billed this invoice the state and the?
Yeah, I'm working on that. There was one that came in today, so I didn't have a complete list. I can tell you a little bit about the people that I know locally. I know Berea has done it. Twinsburg has done it. And there's probably about 4 others in Cuyahoga County, but I don't have that list. I wasn't able to update the list today.
I think what would be useful also with that is going a little further and thinking more strategically as well. If we could find out who are their state representatives and state senators, because our representation is in the very, very small minority party. I'd be very curious to see if other districts who are billing, the more that are in my opinion at least, the more that are in the majority party, the more.
Well, what I did is today I spoke to the superintendent because I realized that there's a number of pieces of work related to this that we could pursue. So I am giving her a brief idea of the kinds of duties that might be involved. So anybody that has things that they want in relationship to this, if you'll forward it to me, we're going to try to see if we can potentially get a student to work with us this summer to kind of call out some of the information that we will want.
The only comment I would have, I have no problem with what you're going for. What I find distressing when I look at where the money is going from us is I am a strong advocate for the separation of church and state, and the overwhelming, I'm looking at Ed Choice, and it's all going to private schools. It's all going to private religious schools, which.
Not all, but mostly.
That's one. I find one that wasn't a religious school. And then on the Peterson, I'm not sure what A+ Solutions is. That sounds more like a plumbing service. But, I mean, it's really disturbing and distressing to see how much money we're losing. And in particular, and for me, I don't particularly care for subsidizing religious institutions, which is in effect what we are doing, and using public dollars. The state may not have a problem with, but I do. So I applaud you for that. I have no problem with going forward with this.
Other comments or questions?
Yeah, Ron, I love you. I mean,
Thank you, Jim.
I mean, okay, so after last.
We can all
Okay,
leave if you
so,
like.
well, no, please, please. Okay, so after our meeting last month, which I just felt awful driving home. I mean, I know we did the right thing, but it was challenging. It was a tough meeting. I kind of look at ending this meeting as this is work that this board, it needs to be working on. I mean, just to put a magnitude on what you're talking about is if you sort of look at the Ed Choice and the charter schools, it's approximately $6 million a year of money that the state gives us that then we essentially give back, essentially, to fund their charter school initiatives. So, I mean, just in perspective, you know, roughly we get 19 million in our foundation money. I mean, that's the money we get from the state every year. 6 million of that goes away. So, you know, not quite a third, but close to a third of the money that we get from the state just goes out the window. So we have to make that up with property taxes.
Right.
So,
That's correct.
And we're talking about putting a levy on the ballot. And just, round numbers, whether that number is 4, 5, 6, 7 mills, I mean, who knows what it's going to be? I mean, we haven't had a presentation from the lay finance committee. 1 mill equals, around
A
a
little
mill
over $1
in
million.
revenue. I mean, just the way that our taxing is. So, I mean, that would mean that we wouldn't have to put a levy on the ballot. I mean, big ballpark numbers here, okay? I mean, this is what the state's causing us to do. And you look at, and I can cherry pick schools, but I mean, we have some schools in our district that, English as a second language, we've got high populations of kids there. I mean, great kids, great schools. I mean, we're never going to get an A in that school. I mean, just because of the way the test scores work. I mean, so here we are being punished for doing the right thing, accepting the right kids, although we accept every kid. I mean, I think we need to certainly spend more time on this. A great job, putting all this together.
Just one little piece. So I think we ought to be well educated on these issues. The state doesn't actually send us 18 million. They deduct that below the line money, that 6 million, before they send it to us. It goes somewhere else and it gets written off on our books.
Thanks for clarifying that. Thanks, Ron, appreciate it. So it's my sense that you have the board's will to proceed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other new business? Okay, board committee reports. We're not going to start with you today, Mr. Silverman. Anyone else?
It's been 2 years. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I just would like to share that I was part of the OBSA Institute, and it was, very informative, lots of information. The workshops that I attend, I was able to get a lot out of it, particularly the legislative part and getting some understanding, almost piggybacking on what Ron was sharing with us, to get an understanding of that. And I appreciated the opportunity to be a part of that.
Thank you. Other?
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Mr.
I got,
Register.
I'm not sure that this has risen to the point of being a committee yet, but through the Education Service Center, we were invited to attend a pre-K summit. And each district was asked to bring a couple of board members, and I was one of the board members that went last week to the Education Service Center and participated in a presentation along with our staff. Our Assistant Superintendent Felicia Gould was, I guess, the main person, Rachel Coleman from Boulevard, and Kyle Noble, and Kyle Priestley, who is our program specialist for early childhood education, was there, as well as our teachers from the two schools. So we have some pre-K stuff going on now, but the idea is ultimately looking at some of the models that were that were presented to us, and the big one was from Kettering, where they have sort of a blanket trying to cover every pre-K child, and they brought in all of the public and private institutions that are involved in pre-K education, and sort of had this summit and talked about where are the gaps, who's being served, who's not being served. And so we saw that as a presentation, and actually she pointed us to a website, Ready, Set, Go, where we can actually there's instruments and tools and everything that we could actually work with in terms of us moving forward with our own thinking. And we also saw a couple from Cuyahoga County. One was Lakewood, which apparently is out in front of us in terms of looking at this whole issue. And the other one was from Berea, I believe. And they both are they're really attacking this, and I think this is something that as we move forward, we really need to think about how we work with our pre-K kids. What we know is that if we can get our kids at level by the 3rd grade, we will actually take care of what they need in terms of their graduation and so on and so forth. But I think if we start getting the kids earlier, we will start having better performances all around. So I think it's a really important thing for us to be involved in, and I'm looking forward to the next steps, if you will. And I assume that the assistant superintendent might be our lead person on this.
Right,
I'm not
well, actually, the first ring superintendent, that was part of our strategic plan, and I was in Wisconsin and couldn't go. So what we decided to do, that we needed to make early education a focus of all the first ring districts and engage board members with other board members so that they can have rally behind the initiatives as well. And if you know, with our strategic plan, this was part of the reason, early education, and our investments even in Oxford Elementary. I mean, we saw early on that we wanted to start investment early, but we wanted to have a platform where we're sharing best practices so districts are not sitting in isolation trying to reinvent programs. And so we thought, as the first ring superintendent consortium, that this would be a great opportunities for us to share best practices and then have our board members to see and advocate on behalf of us, on pre-K education at the state level, because, our pre-Ks are our investments.
Right.
So we invest our general fund dollars and other grant dollars to lift these programs. That's what we're doing with Oxford. So
let me ask both of you a question. Mr. Edgerton mentioned it is not yet risen, if you will, to the level of a board committee. I'm not sure from the way you're speaking, do you feel this is something we should have a board committee liaison to, or is it more something you'd be reporting to us on?
Well, again, it wasn't clear to me what the next steps are, but the other board rep that was there, was appointed to that, that was invited, was Beverly.
Right.
And what I think is that we probably should work with that staff team that's having this conversation and maybe refine what might be a part of the strategic plan and have a pre-K as part of what we do. And I would say that, yeah, it probably ought to rise to the level that each year we have some board members responsible for working with this set of issues.
Agree, because remember, I stated that we're going to start a pre-K at every school.
Okay.
So this is part of the plan, so I think it would be worthwhile to really focus on the whole notion of early education and what that means and how do we lift it in our district, because there may be opportunities like some of our neighboring school districts have to find outside funding and really partner with other entities to provide that cost, so it's scholarships or whatever, because parents, there is a cost associated. I mean, many of our parents can receive vouchers as well,
Right.
but there is a cost associated for our pre-K programs.
And I believe I'm not all the way educated on this issue yet, but I believe that the county is putting up to $10 million into this issue in the next fiscal year. I don't know the details of that yet.
Right.
But we ought to be positioning ourselves so that we can take advantage of funding like that.
Correct. That's good.
I had a brief update on the FAC. And we know, but just so everybody else knows, we have a work session, not this, we have 2 weeks from now. We are going to be talking about the FAC and how the facilities and how we want to just make sure that that organization or that committee is working well with the board. And also how it can transition to help us with the middle schools if we choose to do that. And I'll be meeting with some of their leaders this week, and I would suspect over the next couple times, and I think Eric is going to be working with me on this too. We talked about it today. I mean, some of the things that we think are important that we'll present to you, and hopefully we'll get their feeling in that meeting.
Okay, that's good.
Again, the FAC is the Facilities Accountability Committee for any of those of you who don't know. Okay, Mr. Sullivan.
Oh, I'm on. All right. Ron took all my time. Okay, I've got a bunch of different things. First one is, unfortunately, our Oxford contingency left. I will do a public service announcement for them, since Oxford, I like to tell people I attended Oxford for 7 years. It sounds much more impressive than it was. Oxford's having a major community event on May 14th on a Saturday. So if you're not going, go and buy stuff, because it's a fundraiser for them. Cleveland Heights Master Planning Committee, I've had so many meetings, I don't know if I've had another one since then. I know they're moving forward as far on the master plan. It's been frustrating. At the last meeting I did, I was very, took a lot of cleansing breaths when they were asking questions regard to the city and school relations. I was very emphatic that if there's going to be something in the master plan about that, I would be much happier if it was actually something that did something and had some teeth to it, as opposed to just words. On the Alumni Foundation, I have big news from them. The pancake breakfast was held here. Those who came, it was great. Actually, folks liked this room better than the cafeteria at the high school for some reason. Not a lot of natural light. They had the misfortune, though, of having the best Sunday of the year and in the last 5 years for the breakfast, but still was a good time. The Hall of Fame was last week at Lander Haven. A lot of good nominees, or not now inductees. The biographies are halfway done on the website, so wait a couple days before you look them up, but a real good crowd of folks this year. The next Heights Gear Sale is May 21st at the former Coventry School. Also, one of the foundation trustees for the Hall of Fame, they started at the Board of Ed. The Alumni Foundation, one of the trustees suggested that we give some money to the district to plant some flowers right by the Board of Education main entrance. Thought it was a good idea, so Mr. Petcack will get a small check to buy some flowers and put it in there. And if we could hook him up with a botany class at the high school, that would be pretty good. And then, what else do I have here? Oh, I took a tour of the high school on last Thursday with John Orsini, the architect, walking around the site. It's really, I know Jim talks about it, and I think we need to do probably on marketing, is that you can really start to see how the bones of it are taking shape, and it's going to be pretty awesome. And I think that we keep focusing on change orders and scheduling and this, that. I think we need to start focusing on, and hopefully marketing, what we're going to get, because the floor plan, now in the next few months, we're going to really start to see the bones take shape, and it's pretty awesome. And I'm cleaning up my language because I'm being recorded, and it's going to be awesome. I got to use awesome, I can't use, but hopefully we'll do that. And the last one would be, piggybacking on Jim with the Facilities Accountability Committee, one of the challenges I think they're having, and hopefully we'll be able to work with them on, is trying to figure out how do they convey where we're doing good, where the project is doing well and where we're having challenges. I think one of the keys that they're going to have, they have an operational structure of, I believe, 9 or 10 subcommittees, but that doesn't line up exactly with the charge we have on our website. So the hope will be that they'll be able to mesh the two, because they don't, some of the, there's a number of things that they've been doing and following up, which is great, but they're not what we said our specific charges were. A lot of the things we've been doing are sort of boilerplate, but we're hitting them out of the park. Conversely, there's other elements that we've had some challenges. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, we can reconcile those two lists. As well, I think the other challenge they're having, I think their frustration is, we set them up as an accountability committee, and I think that there's a desire to be more engaged, more advisory, than accountability. So I think we need to reconcile their desire to have a little more skin in the game, as it were, as opposed to, okay, finding out about something 2 or 3 months later, which is really what we set them up to do. But I think that the folks who are engaged want to, they like to, hey, you did something 6 months ago, maybe you should have did it differently. I think they'd like to be clued in a little bit sooner in the decision-making process, or even if it's after the fact, at least a little more the compressing the time frame. So I think that's going to be really communications with our design team folks. But that was one of the frustrations I've seen them. It's been a regular frustration, but I think it's boiling up, shall we say? So that's I think those are all my committees. University Heights Rec Committee, I don't even know, they never call me, so those are all my assignments.
Thank you for cleaning up your language about.
It's difficult, I know.
Reaching Heights held their annual spelling bee. It was another brilliant success. I unfortunately had an emergency, so I was out, but I would like to first of all thank the Minority Student Achievement Network students who spelled for the Board of Education, and probably were the best spellers ever. I'm sorry to those of you who spelled in the past, but thank you very much. And I believe it was the Fairfax spellers who were the big winners. So once again, another great event. Nothing else from anyone?
No,
Okay.
last thing is, I did speak with the city, Cleveland Heights.
Yep.
And they are going to include us on a master planning, and they're going to host an educational focus group. So 15 members of people from Ed Services and some teachers will come together on a future date. So and engage in some conversations. I spoke with them and I said, if you're doing a master plan, the school district should be included somehow. And so they're going to have that meeting. So I'll let you know when that meeting comes. But I'm excited about it. Maybe 15 members of the district engaged in that conversation.
Great. Great. Okay. Move on to correspondence and announcements. Anyone? Oh, Mr. Register.
This weekend, the Friends of Heights Libraries are going to have their book sale, their used book sale, and I think Thursday is a preview for members of the Friends of Heights Library, and then I think the sale is Saturday, Sunday, and they're going to have a bag of books for $4 on Monday. And I think they've reached out to some of us to invite teachers and others to come to on Monday as they're doing cleanup to select books that are left over and everything. Did you get a copy of that information? Some of your staff did. I'm not sure. I mean, I can look back and see who's got it, but it would be good for us to at least notify our principals and teachers that maybe they want to go around and look and see if there are books of interest. And I have no idea what would be left on Monday, but it could be some kids' books and stuff that they might want to add to their library.
Good.
Anything else? Okay, then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gaynor.
Mr. Posh.
Yes.
Mr. Register.
Yes.
Mr. Silverman.
Yes.
Ms. Wright.
Yes.
Mr. Zucker.
Yes. Thank you all.